them up so that we can use the methodology that's used by the anthropologist to examine the data that we collect. And the context for this is, of course, the 73rd Amendment, which gives women a right to participate in the self-governance system in India at all the 3 levels in the village. And I think you all do know about it, so I will not spend a lot of time on it. The location for this, for us, for our study was the internet is, oh yeah, here's an internet. Okay. So the location, as you can see from this map, is in North India. This area right here. I did have the graph of just Mewat, but I wanted to put it in context. We did want to put it in context, and that's why we put it within the map of India. So this is where the work is. That's where IRRAD is located.
IRRAD. It's like saying Iran, okay? We gotta stop calling Iran. It's Iran.
Iran.
But you know, it doesn't matter when I go to my classroom. It is still
Iran. Iran.
It sounds better,
We
Iran.
don't have time. Okay, we don't have time.
Iran.
Iran. Okay, so our work was in Mewat region in North India, and you can see some of the issues that do exist there just by this simple statistics, that even in India, male-female ratio is 940 female to 1,000 male, which is not the natural ratio, but in Mewat region it's even lower, 906 female to 1,000 male, and the female literacy rate in the area compared to India is quite low. So that is the area that we had worked during this.
And so just briefly, the methodology is an ethnographic, kind of a takeoff on ethnographic methodology. So it's qualitative, and we're trying to look at the complexities. So in the villages where we went last year and where DeepShikha will do follow-up work this January, we're trying to talk to people and keep it a broad conversation and not a limited linear survey. And I think that's enough to say about that. So we're working with what we've learned in the first discussions, and then we'll be going back and following up with people. And as I think Jay talked about a little bit yesterday already, the region is a difficult region in terms of the work that IRRAD is doing. And we see optimism even in the difficulty of this context in terms of women's potential to be both change agent and change agent, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And so the constitutional amendment, just to briefly talk about that, there are multiple objectives in terms of trying to get local government working more vibrantly and getting it to be more inclusive. And just for our purposes, we picked out talking about decentralization of power and local self-governance. And I know there's been a lot of conversation at the conference about frustrations with government, but you know, in this country and in India, we're not giving up, right? So local self-governance is really important, and trying to make it work. And women's empowerment is part of what the amendment was asking for. So next slide. And so we're looking at women's empowerment in this kind of a long-term project as not just in its own right, but as helping the other objectives to move forward. And some of the earlier research, it's been 20 years since the amendment, and so you look in different parts of the country, and some of the earlier research shows that if you get women involved, and you see this all over the world, that some of the other objectives are met as well. So we see it feeding into the decentralization and functioning local governance when it works.
So we really do believe that all these three objectives are interconnected. However, to start with, I just want to give you some more context as to what are the barriers that women face and I know that you are all, because you do work in the field, are aware of these barriers. They are social, cultural, political, and economic. So, and we have heard a lot about social and cultural barriers where there is child marriage, where women are not, or young girls are not expected to attend school, or are expected to help with their siblings and bring water, help their mother cook, take care of the household chores. Economic barriers are there because women are the primary caregiver for children and for elders in the family, and they also do use their free time to supplement the family resources. So whatever work they can get, they do it in order to supplement whatever other income is coming. That work might be animal husbandry and or the day labor work. But we have, when we had gone and interviewed women, we saw that they were doing work every minute of the day, from 5 o'clock till 9 or 10 o'clock. Political barriers exist because women do not have prior experience of running for government offices or working in position of authority in public. And so it means because of these economic, political, social, and cultural barriers, it is even more important for organizations to get engaged in training work. And that's where we came in to do the impact assessment, that if a training work that is being carried on by the Segal Foundation is effective in making women a more effective leader.
So for this brief presentation, we're looking at what we think we're seeing when it's not really working, because in some cases, when a woman is elected the Sarpanch, in some cases it is more symbolic than real, and so we have a little bit about when it's not working, what do we see, and then when it's working, what do we see, and we've divided them into, each of them into 3 categories of factors that we're seeing, and the first is actions, lack of actions, and then we'll talk about community and family responses and ideas, and we'll just do the list. Someday we'll talk more about some of the complexities of the list, but when it's not working, you see that the meetings are infrequent, that the women are sometimes actually not, even the elected position, not attending the meeting, and other women not attending the meeting, and that the decisions are actually made by other members of the family. And so that's the quick list on actions or lack of actions.
We also have divided the list in community and family response and also ideas. And we actually did talk to both female sarpanches as well as male sarpanches. So what it did in terms of the community perception or the family response, the power players in the community use women sarpanch who are not effective as an example of why the constitutional amendment is not working. They use them as an example of why this system should go away. And it actually increases resistance to women leaders. In terms of ideas, when it is not working, when women sarpanches or board members are not effective, then people in the community again think that women are not meant to speak publicly, or they should not go out in public, and the system they had was fine, that was working.
And so now we move to the more optimistic pieces, and we did speak to women who are very active and in different ways. Sometimes on her own, sometimes we saw a very engaged husband and wife working together. And so you see different ways that people are doing it, but when it's working on actions, women leaders are attending the meetings, public meetings are frequent, and the women leaders are participating in the training sessions. In this, I'm obedient. IRRAD is in charge in this area of running these training sessions, and so if people are participating in those training sessions, it feeds into the system works.
Also, when it is working, in terms of ideas, we see that women leaders are more aware of their own power and their place in society. They are really aware of the issues that affect women, such as water, education, and need for supplementary income to augment economic resources. And actually, some of the women we met with said that they did not want microfinance project, they did not want home-based business, because if they have home-based business, children would come back home from school and would start working with them. They wanted other employment available in the area so that only women could go and work. So when they are aware, when they have a place on the table, women do bring women's issues in the forefront of policy making. Women Sarpanches make connection between their own actions and women's lives in the community. They do help raise the profile of other women and network with them about solutions. Women leaders report a change in beliefs regarding their own place in society. So there is actually self-empowerment that was reported, that we heard from women leaders themselves. And of course, there is greater confidence and awareness. We also saw, in terms of the community and family response, that the women Sarpanches do want to be the role model. They want to be in the role, and they want to be supported by their family members. Actually, when it is working, it did work because family members were supporting them. It did enhance the status of that woman within the family and the community. As we saw in previous presentation, gaining economic independence increases or lifts women's profile within the family, but I think being a community leader also gives them more recognition in the community. They become role models for young women and girls, and people in the community focus on the importance of knowledge rather than gender of Sarpanch. And all these were very hopeful signs.
And then we just have 3 quotations to end here, and what the women are saying when they are seeing their own ability to do this and seeing their own lives change and their ability to help and influence their community. So you can just read those up there, I think.
And of course, we did not take any pictures, so we do not have pictures to report here.
You should say why you couldn't take pictures. You did
No
not mention
camera.
All these villages are Muslim villages. You can't enter inside the hut without their permission, and the population density is very, very high.
And it is really against the religion for women to
Yeah.
expose their face to a camera, so we did honor their wishes and did not take pictures. That's really important. If we are going in a community, we have to honor their rules and their norms and work with them where they are. So as what we have there, these are all direct quotes from the woman. My life is better than before. People know me and respect me. That's all a woman wants, recognition and respect in society. Very fulfilled life. We tell them, if you have knowledge, you will have more power. I was elected to this position because it was reserved for women. So again, it's important that the constitutional amendment is working. This was my choice. Even though this woman did report that her husband didn't want her to run, he said, why bother? But she wanted to do it, and he was actually in an interview with him, and he went, and she said that he eventually came around and supported her. And he was very proud of her during that time.
And that was actually the village where I was just thinking, as the two of you were talking, that we see this in other parts of the world too. There was a young girl, probably more like 12, 13, who listened to every word of the time we were interviewing and talking to other women and men in the community. She was standing there listening to every word, and it was in that village where it had been complicated, and the family came around, and we wonder what will be next for her. She did not leave our side as we talked to everybody, and it was very intense.
Thank you very much. As I said before, we are going to hold the questions till the end. Jay is going to be our next speaker, and I don't think he needs any introduction.
No, I don't.
So.
First,